Hello, welcome to the session where we look back at the highlights of the last Parliamentary Assembly session right here at the Council of Europe. In this edition, accountability in the Parliamentary Assembly and the Prime Ministers of Moldova and Montenegro. But first we start with migration. The Parliamentary Assembly set aside a whole day of joint debates on the migration crisis, starting with statements from the Mayor of Athens and the Council of Europe's Secretary-General.
The Committee of Ministers session in Nicosia adopted a new action plan protecting refugee and migrant children in Europe. That plan rests on three pillars. First, ensuring access to rights and child-friendly procedures, including every child having a nationality. This is very important. Every child having a nationality. Second, promoting effective protection with guardianship systems in each member state, measures to prevent violence, exploitation, and the arbitrary deprivation of liberty, and the fast and efficient provision of family reunification in line with international standards. And third, enhancing the integration of children with the provision of quality education and the means to participate in their new community. We should be judged by our treatment of the most vulnerable in society.
European cities and local governments can play a central role in implementing integration policies that promote peaceful coexistence and mutual respect among our citizens. We have the advantage of being the governing entity that is the closest to the citizen, and social cohesion is at the core of our policies. But we cannot act on our own. We need support to do it. Better coordination with regional and central governments and more competences and allocation of funding. We need our role to be acknowledged. Migrant and refugee presence should be seen as a unique source of wealth for European cities, as a main component of our inclusive and dynamic development. The way we are going to handle these issues will determine our future as a continent in the years to come.
The statements were followed by the first joint debate of the day, combining the humanitarian and political response to the migration crisis with the implications of the European response to transit migration.
The migrants and refugee crisis is the greatest challenge facing European countries today. So far, we have failed to cooperate sufficiently in addressing its causes and compensating for its consequences. We have failed to show unanimous generosity and openness, and failed to find lasting, solid and consensual solutions with the EU. We took too much time to react, and then we failed.
And we have to say that Turkey, in dealing with more than 2 million of refugees in its soil, has done a tremendous effort, but there are still things to be done. And definitely, what it should be, the message coming out of this assembly, is that nobody should be left out of the responsibility sharing in dealing with the issue. Thank you very much.
The afternoon session on migration continued with another joint debate. But before we hear from the rapporteurs, the Council of Europe's Human Rights Commissioner and Sweden's Justice and Migration Minister made special appeals.
I'm encouraged by PACE's insistence on the importance of family reunification, including in the reports discussed today. I particularly look forward to the upcoming work on family reunification in this hall. Beyond this, I appeal to you as national parliamentarians. The legal and policy case for more effective family reunification policy is clear. Political resistance, however, is enormous. We need to challenge and overcome the negative discourse that stigmatizes the basic common sense that families should be together, as well as the often hugely inflated figures about how many extra people would come, which serve to turn the public against family reunification. With your help, we can make the simple fact that families should be together a reality.
The United Nations and its organizations are keeping millions of refugees alive every day. We must be ready to increase our support to UNHCR, UNICEF, IOM, and World Food Programme so that they can keep on doing that and also expand. And Europe can do much more on resettlement, where we fly out the most vulnerable refugees to safety in our member states. I spoke to the European Parliament last week and suggested that the European Union should start a joint European resettlement program for our member states. My country, Sweden, is already increasing resettlement up to 5,000 next year, more than doubling our program in 2 years. Do you think 5,000 is a small number? Well, if every EU member state, European Union member state, should have the same number of resettlements per capita as we have, that would mean 250,000 resettlements of the most vulnerable refugees each year. I'm not asking that all do as much as we do, but even if they do just half of it, it would still be a very large program, over 100,000. And it could have a real effect to reduce the number of people trying to reach Europe on the dangerous seaways.
The second joint debate focused on the long term, looking at the benefits of migration. Migration as an opportunity for European development and the integration of refugees.
European societies, of course, are particularly affected by an impending demographic winter. We have the lowest birth rates anywhere in the world, and in some countries of Europe, the birth rate has gone down to as low as 1.1% per woman. That is the case of my own country, Italy, for example. And Council of Europe countries have some of the most elderly populations in the world, because we are seeing a great increase in the number of people in our societies who are over 65 years of age. And that is going to constitute a problem for our labor forces. And that is why we need to make room for migrants, particularly in sciences, engineering, and mathematics.
I would like to raise good examples from Berlin of how local authorities, together with other actors, organized events for young refugees in which young people learned about educational opportunities. Companies were involved and presented their work and offered internship opportunities as an introduction to working life. Every chance to work, train, and experiment is important. At the same time, we must ensure that refugee skills and input are not exploited.
Still to come in the programme, PACE votes to change the rules of procedure, making it possible to dismiss holders of high office during their term. But first, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Moldova delivered a strong speech in the Parliamentary Assembly in which he said that his country is fully committed to European integration and that there was no plan B. PAVEL Filip went on to say that the Council of Europe had become a major catalyst for democratic change in the Republic of Moldova and said that it was a government priority to end the monitoring process.
We count further on the support of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe in the implementation of reforms that will be needed in the post-monitoring dialogue. I would like to assure you that the time has come for Moldova to move to the post-monitoring stage. The Republic of Moldova has real potential to achieve that, and our citizens should be assured that they do have a place in the European space of democratic values. We are expecting the next visit of the PASE co-rapporteurs for the Republic of Moldova, and I'm convinced that they will have the possibility to see firsthand the progress achieved by our country in delivering on our commitments. This idea has been confirmed by the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe in its resolution number 1955 of October 2013.
A confirmat-o în rezoluția 1955 din 2 octombrie 2013.
The Prime Minister of Montenegro, Duško Marković, has addressed the Parliamentary Assembly 10 years after it became the 47th member state of the Council of Europe. Mr. Marković pointed to a string of achievements, including efforts to combat corruption, organised crime, money laundering and intolerance. But Mr. Marković also warned of challenges ahead and said that he regretted a decision by Montenegro's opposition to boycott parliamentary activity.
Prelomnom trenutku za Europu, pred kojom su izazovi populizma, migracija, terorizma,
In the decisive time for Europe, faced with the challenges of populism, migrations, terrorism, religious radicalization, financial crisis, and many others, boycott of the national parliament or disassembly means deepening the crisis of parliamentarism. It brings to the endangering of democracy, weakening the role of parliamentary diplomacy as well. It means erosion of the values that all our European societies are based on. It seems that not all of us have learned that it is only through democratic elections that power can be taken, that one has to work hard to develop international reputation, and to participate in dealing with European problems, one has to be here, in this Parliamentary Assembly.
The Parliamentary Assembly has voted to amend its rules to put in place a procedure making it possible to dismiss senior elected officials during their term of office. The resolution was adopted on the basis of a report by LILIANE MAURY PASQUIER, and it applies to the President and Vice Presidents of the Assembly and the Chairpersons and Vice Chairpersons of PACE committees. They can now be dismissed on the grounds that they no longer enjoy the confidence of the Assembly.
Our Parliamentary Assembly is today at a crucial moment in its history. Its credibility has never been as shaken as it is today. Its reputation has never been as tarnished. Its image has never been as besmirched. Our Assembly requires integrity, transparency, responsibility. It requires that supremacy be given to public interests. It requires confidence. It requires accountability. And that, in fact, is what underpins the contract that exists within any society between citizenship and elective representatives.
That vote was held on the Tuesday of the part session. On Friday, a cross-party motion was tabled by 158 members for the dismissal of PACE President Pedro Agramunt. The motion is to be put to a vote of the Assembly at the opening of the next session. That's due to take place in the second week of October. Until then, from me, goodbye.